And so when you consider the amount of capital expense that's associated with IT expenditure within the region or across the globe, I mean, it's well above $500 billion. And yet those assets typically have a depreciation cycle of less than 3 years. And at the same time, those assets typically aren't utilised above about 10% of their available capability or capacity. And so what this is doing is it's driving this intrinsic focus on how are the decisions related to the procurement, consumption and management of IT assets made. And there's greater scrutiny in terms of how those assets are used, how those assets are deployed, and how those assets can be further optimized within the enterprise. One thing we know for sure is that a lot of organizations have, in isolation, made very intelligent decisions with respect to IT projects, but at an aggregate level have found themselves with a huge amount of technological and operational complexity associated with the technology that has been deployed. In this industry, we term that as the accidental architecture, where systems are incompatible, there's disparate and fragmented technologies, vendor technologies, disparate operational processes in terms of how that technology is being managed and how that's optimized, silo IT organizations looking at different parts of IT but not IT holistically. And you can see that there's a couple of examples where organizations have embarked on strategic IT projects and they haven't got it right. And so the question is how can we improve decision-making superiority by providing clients and end users with greater insight, improved unity around where those opportunities are, promote better decision-making superiority, and then promote improved adaptability around the changing dynamics of both the business landscape and the technology landscape moving forward. One of the things that organizations are typically looking for is substantiation of what is the opportunity. And when we look at the pathways towards IT transformation, we typically see them across 4 or 5 different levels. We talked about the transition towards cloud, which requires the virtualization of infrastructure. We talked about that improving the utilization of infrastructure from a yield perspective, therefore driving higher return on invested capital, returns for the business, the opportunity to standardize workloads, drive automation, and ultimately create an IT as a service model that leads to self-service. And when we look at the opportunities that are available to IT with respect to where they are today in a current state relative to future state, by being able to quantify the current state, we're able to then begin to look at the opportunity that's associated with respect to service levels on key IT KPIs and SLAs. And under the IT capability vertical, you can see that there are several different IT service level metrics. You can see that today, most of them are relatively underperforming, be it utilization, be it release management, change management, provisioning, and even payback for infrastructure, relative to the opportunities that are associated with transformation. One of the key things, though, is not just being able to look at this in terms of the theory of what the opportunity is, but as you transition your environment, transition operational processes and evolve your organizations, now how do you measure the ongoing improvements that IT is being able to provide back to the business in terms of service levels as those business units become increasingly dependent upon technology?